I am delighted to take part in the Cultural Policy and Sustainable Development Conference. And I am particularly interested to share with you my thoughts about recent developments. And oh my God, have there been recent developments? So only a few, has it been a month ago, we had Mondiacult, Mondiacult 2025. Mondiacult was a fantastic success. The outcome document has many references to cultural rights, and I think that finally cultural rights are at the core, are recognized to be at the core of any cultural policies. And how can they not be? We're not here to protect buildings. We're not here to protect parks. We are here to protect the right of individuals to be able to access and participate in the development and protection of the buildings and of the parks, etc. So in this respect, I am delighted. But Mondiacult has also been disappointing. It has been disappointing because I don't think that a lot of states still understand what they have agreed on. We spent 3 days with many states talking to us about how important culture is and how their states have taken initiatives to protect culture. We have gone beyond that now, haven't we? I thought that in these 3 days we would speak specifically, on the basis of precise initiatives that the states have taken to promote cultural policies and development. And I think that we have a lot to discuss with states in this respect. And I think that three are the basic issues that I didn't see, and I was hoping that I would see in states' discussions. First is the wide understanding of what we mean by culture and cultural rights. So they have agreed on cultural rights, but my feeling was that they thought that cultural rights have to do with artistic freedom and cultural heritage, mainly cultural heritage of states. However, when we talk about culture, we talk about cultures, we talk about ways of life, we talk about visions, priorities, theories, philosophies, and of course, the buildings and what they represent, and the tools and the food and the practices and the cultures, so and the various cultural elements. So this goes beyond what artistic freedom and cultural heritage. And this is very important. It is not just academic, because this means that states have to realize that by agreeing to promote cultural rights, they have agreed to have these visions and cosmotheories and priorities of everyone included, not just in cultural issues, but also in development issues, in spatial planning, in priorities about health insurance, about every aspect of everyday life. So I think that this is important, the wide understanding of cultures and the wide understanding of the scope of cultural rights that goes cross sectors and cross subjects. The second issue that I think that didn't quite got understood by states was what the cultural rights approach really is. So first of all, the wide scope, but secondly, participation. So they still had a lot of them, a very top-down approach on what we mean by cultural rights. And this was very obvious because, the civil society was on the one part of Barcelona, and the Mondiacult conference was on the other part of Barcelona, and the civil society could not really participate in Mondiacult at its whole. So it was a very top down approach. And I think that this is against, the cultural rights approach. The cultural rights approach is that everyone has the right to participate in the decision-making table on decisions about all these issues we talked about cultural, artistic freedom and cultural heritage, but also about projects and how they affect the livelihoods of people and different planning of new cities or planning of innovations and renovations, etc. So I think that, this was the second issue. And this also coincides with a lot of states talking a lot about indigenous rights, almost as a facade to hide on exclusions, even in law, of other parts of the population, such as persons living in rural areas, homeless people, persons who are under the poverty line. Um, but also I think that even with indigenous rights, they were not talking about free, prior, and informed consent. So I don't think that they have realized that by saying that cultural rights have to be implemented, what we mean is that indigenous peoples should be at the table, and if the issue affects them directly, then they have the right to veto, and they have the right to say, no, 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 there's not going to be this project. And also, it's not just indigenous peoples. This is also with respect to local populations. And also, when we talk about minorities, the participation has to be effective, not just one representative of the minority group. And also, when we talk about people in poverty and people in women, etc., the participation has to be meaningful. So I think that, you know, a lot more emphasis needs to be given to participation, and participation in boards. You know, we see so many boards where we see government officials, civil servants, and then what are called as experts like me, for example, there. And we don't see people from the actual communities where that the projects affect. And when we see them in a very tokenistic way. So I think that these are practical steps that have to change. And also the third aspect of the cultural rights approach that I did not see, irrespective of participation or in addition to participation by everyone, I did not see specific measures on ensuring that the livelihoods, the visions, the priorities in development of every single marginalized person are going to be included. So I needed to see measures that the state's taken about how the rural communities are going to be included in the all aspects of everyday life, about the alternative sciences and how the alternative sciences, the sciences of minorities and other people are going to be included, etc. So I think that it's great to have the outcome report. I have been reminded that by having the outcome report is different to a declaration, because now we take measures. So I'm waiting to see these measures by states, and you know, hopefully you will also push for that. And the second issue that we talked about in Mondial, but also generally this year, has to be with AI and how it affects creativity, not just artistic freedom. So not just the my artistic expression, but also the intellectual expression that I have, and you know, the academic expression that I have, and how, you know, these are restricted by AI tools. And again, you know, in Mondial we had, I thought it was shocking, I've told everyone, we had a side event organized by Amazon and UNESCO together, and we had a report where Amazon, the tech company that produced books, sports biographies, from cut and paste and presented them as being by specific authors, were telling us and the states how to materialize and to ensure that AI revolutionizes the cultural rights. So I think that was weird, and I think that this is, you know, where we're going, and I think that we all need to be aware of that. We have given the power to transnational corporations, tech corporations, to shout about how amazing AI tools are. They can't be. But they're doing it for profit reasons, because they gain profit. Whereas we, the states, the international organizations, have to have the human rights, the well-being, the improvement of the lives of humanity, of everyone in humanity. So when it comes between AI tools and progress, technological progress, and conflicts with human rights, guess what? Human rights have to prevail. And I think that states at the moment do not enter in this discussion. And we are seeing how creativity is being impeded by these. We're seeing, as I told you, Amazon creating books without saying by whom these books were created. This has an impact on artistic and academic freedom. We see artists, artistic pieces coming out from rooms, open air rooms of the high, tech kids and designers that have absolutely very little to do with artistic considerations. We are seeing artists having to accept less money because otherwise there's the fear that AI tool is going to cut and paste and is going to produce something. And we're seeing the undermining of art because the world seems to believe that AI creates, or this buzzword now that is co-creates. There is no co-creation, it's cut and paste. There's no originality. And also we see the loud voices, the mainstream art, the mainstream visions and understandings become even more, even louder by AI, whereas the silent, alternative ways of art and subjects of art are being pushed aside. So I think that these this has to be discussed a lot more. I discussed it in my report on AI and creativity to the UN General Assembly, and I also invite you to push forward for these issues. All these have to be seen under us working tirelessly about culture becoming a standalone goal in the post-2030 agenda, so that everybody understands the power, the transformational power of cultures and cultural rights. Thank you.